Greetings. Good morning. We have our opening hymn, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. It's number 361 in your hymnal. And, okay. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Welcome all. Oops. I need this. We have our announcements now. Let's see. Where are they? Okay. Summer service schedule, 10:30 a.m. here and at First Church. So services at St. John's are the 19th of July, the 2nd of August, and the 16th of August. Services at First Unitarian will be July 12, 26, August 9, and 23. Reverend Jen is on vacation right now, and Reverend Karen joins us in August 1st. Another announcement, we have a new board, and we had to change the time for board meetings. So board meetings are, for those of you who want to attend, will be on first and third Mondays from 6:30 to 8:30, and there will be information in the e-news too. We have an announcement about the men's group, which didn't make it into the order of service. So men's group potluck dinner at Cliff Schisler, Melbourne, Kentucky, next Sunday, 7/12 at 6 p.m. First UU folks are welcome. Cliff, after the service if you need directions. We also have an announcement from Pete having to do with, Pete Assman, having to do with the UUCGC. Thank you, Pete.
So the UU Council of Greater Cincinnati is the 6 UU churches in the area, and we are going to have a table at the Festival of Faiths. It's a table about Unitarian Universalism. We're looking for some volunteers who would like to be there. This is going to be Sunday afternoon, August 2nd, at the Cintas Center. And a little bit of background on the event. The festival celebrates the many ways people find meaning, purpose, and connection, and welcomes people of every faith tradition. Music, reflection, children's activities, and info tables where you can meet people of many religions. I'll be at the table in the lobby with information about attending and or volunteering at Festival of Faiths. Melissa Rowland and I were there last year, and it was really an amazing event. So if you believe that it's important for there to be freedom of religion and for diversity to be celebrated, This is a great event to go to. So please see me after the service. I'll be at a table in the lobby. Thank you.
What an absolute joy to be here with all of you today. I'm Lucas Hergert. I'm the minister at the North Shore Unitarian Church in Deerfield, Illinois, and it's always a pleasure to get to return to St. John's. This is the congregation that I grew up in. I was a part of the youth group. I was a really active part of the youth group. I remember attending the youth conferences here or cons, and then so many personal milestones here. You were the ones who ordained me into ministry, and you also were the ones to host the memorial service for my first husband when he died unexpectedly. So, so many both joy and sorrow woven into this place, and you have held me through all of that. And so it is a joy to get to join you here again on this Sunday. I'm going to bring us together today with some words from Mary Oliver. It's called Morning Poem. Every morning the world is created. Under the orange sticks of the sun, the heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again. And then they fasten themselves high up on the branches, and the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. If it is in your nature to be happy, you will swim away along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere. And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to just keep on trudging, there is still somewhere deep within you a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what you want. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer that is heard, and it is answered lavishly every morning, whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. My spiritual companions, welcome to this day in this place.
Good morning on this first Sunday of the new church year. I'm Erica Strauss, as of July, the current president of the board. Our interim minister, the Reverend Jen, is on vacation this month as she moves to her new ministry in South Bend, Indiana, where we wish her all good things. We are honored to have the Reverend Lucas Hergert. Reverend Lucas grew up in this church, was active in its youth group, and has since gone on to serve congregations in California and Illinois. He teaches preaching at Meadville Lombard and is the author of Impassioned, A Guide to Progressive Preaching. Today, as every Sunday, we gather in community just like this to seek truth, to extend love to each other, to find purpose and meaning in who we are and the difference we can make together. In this fraught time, we are part of a noble religious movement, one that has stood for justice and compassion again and again, and we should never lose sight of that. Recognized by the UUA as a welcoming community, St. John's honors and values the diversity of all kinds: racial, economic, cultural, age, disability, sexual orientation, and gender, represented by those who gathered here. So again, we welcome you, one and all, and especially any visitors among us, especially all of you people from First Church. If you are new, please stop by the welcome table in our lobby and join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall after the service. There are many great things happening at St. John's. Please review your order of service, and you may want to check out the TV in the lobby or the bulletin boards in our fellowship hall. Now, please put your cell phones on church mode, and again, we are so glad you are here. We will now have our, and it is not there. Whoops. Okay, there we go. Our affirmation by William Schultz. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. And now we have another hymn, and that is 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. Every week, we make time in our service to ground ourselves in what we value. We celebrate and honor our joys and concerns by coming forward to place stones representing all that we carry into the sand of our shared community. If you would like a joy or concern to be read, please leave them on the table. And if you are online, please enter a joy or concern in the chat that you would like shared, and we will read them from the pulpit. did we have any online joys or concerns? I guess not. Okay.
I invite you to settle yourself into that space of honesty and compassion that is known by many different names. Gracious Spirit of life, God of many names and none, love that transcends us and holds us and lures us ever more deeply into connection and into community, we come into your presence today. We come with hearts that are full, some of us with joys and happiness, the joy of seeing children here in this sanctuary and the joy of seeing old friends and moments in our lives which uplift us and bring us happiness. We also come today with hearts that are heavy with sorrow and with grief, losses in our lives, injuries, ways in which we struggle to make it from one day to the next. We come into this space because we know it is a kind and loving place, and that whatever it is that we bring here, whether it is joy or whether it is sorrow, it will be held with compassion. And we turn our attention also outward to this country on this 4th of July weekend, recognizing all of the people who are excluded from its stream, have been excluded in the past, and continue to be excluded today. And we find search for ever new ways to take the good news of this community out into this country in order to find a more whole and just and healed way as we might move forward and find some justice that can come even in these difficult times. Gracious Spirit of life, be with us in this space, in this hour, and in all of our lives. Amen.
Our next hymn is 391, Voice Still and Small.
And I don't know what the custom is here, but feel free to just stay in your seats today, and I'll tell us a little story. This is a story about a boy named Noah. And Noah grew up in this town that loved light. It talked about light all the time. It talked about the glory of the sunlight. It talked about the way that moonlight would reflect off of the waves. It talked about the way that a sunbeam might enter through a window and hit a prism and refract into 1,000 different rainbows. All of the different ways that light was beautiful, that it was glorious. And one time Noah was going to bed and his grandma was tucking him in. And he said, "Grandma, what happens to the light when we don't see it? What happens to the light when we're in the dark?" And his grandma smiled, and she said that there are other ways that light can show up in the world. And he said, "Well, how?" And then she said, "Well, you're going to have to find that out." And so he went to sleep, and the next day he was so curious to find out the answer to this. He went all around town asking people, well, how does the light show up when we don't see the light? And one person said, well, the other day I saw the baker giving out bread to people who were hungry. And I felt like I saw a little bit of light in that. And then somebody else said, I saw a brother being kind to his sister when she was scared. And he said, I thought I saw a little bit of light there too. And then somebody else said, when these travelers came to town, somebody had offered them a place to stay. I thought there was some light there too. But Noah thought, that doesn't look like light to me. I don't think I see light in that. And then a couple of weeks later, a storm roiled, and it rolled over that town, and it blotted out the sun, and there was no lightning, and the moon couldn't be seen either, and everybody's power went out. So we're talking, it's dark. It's dark. There might have been a few candles, so there was maybe a little bit of light, but mostly it was just dark. But the funny thing was, Noah thought about this, and he said, like, could there still be some light even in this dark? And sure enough, there was somebody helping someone else who was fearful about the storm. And sure enough, there was somebody else who was ensuring that an older person was getting the food that she needed in order to move through to survive through the storm. And sure enough, communities still came together to sing and to tell stories. And Noah started to realize that maybe there is a kind of light, a kind of radiance that exists in the world that isn't the kind that you see outside. It's not the kind that comes from the sun, or the kind that flashes on the pond, or the kind that refracts through the prism. Rather, instead, it's a kind that's in your heart, a radiance in your heart. May it be so.
All right, and let's sing the children out with our blessing. The offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. It is as much a ritual as singing together, lighting our chalice, or reciting our unison affirmation. It is a reminder of that form of love we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together to help our community and to say yes to the values of our faith. We will now collect your offering. That was just lovely, Stephen. The reading today is called Radiance, and it's by David Stones. We are told of how creation expelled the darkness and that it was good. And ever since, I think, we have chased brightness. Oops, I think I do this. Okay. Even in the despair of our deepest valleys, when our hearts are pierced and there is nothing but the weight of rain, we pursue the luminescence that gilds the beating heart of everything. We are by nature seekers of radiance, the gold within the igneous, the luring halo where the tunnel ends, the alchemy of petals chandeliered with dew. We live inside this heart pump fuse of illumination. As moths to flame, we lean into the glow, for at its flaring core we sense kinship of belonging and how love blazes. In the lighting of things, in the glimmer and glare of this polished universe, forgiveness gleams, mercy beckons, tenderness enfolds, and we breathe as one. This is how we inhale light and how light enters us, the slow seep of love and caring, like iridescence into the flower, how stars embrace and bloom the heavens. And so we live on, endlessly igniting candles in the dark, building the small fires we pass from palm to palm, the love that will endure, the light we are determined must burn forever.
It's a jar, not a box. Her name means many gifts. Pandora, the one favored by the gods. She was given beauty, intellect, and charm. Oh, and curiosity too. Then the final gift came from Zeus. And the reason for its bestowal is from another myth. The thing that made him furious is from that other myth. Prometheus stealing fire from the gods and bringing it to humans. And so Zeus tricks Pandora with the gift of the jar. And when curiosity gets the best of her, she opens it and outrushes all of the evils that will plague humanity: disease, toil, suffering, hatred, and pain. And then the clincher, the thing that is the final thing in the jar. It's hope. Now, I always thought about hope in this story as a consolation, a beneficial thing, almost an apology from Zeus for causing so much suffering. We are given hope so that we can endure misfortune. Well, so much for first impressions. What I discovered as I've been doing research on hope this year is that hope was not considered a virtue in the ancient world. It was often thought of as a vice, used in the same dismissive way that we would use the term wishful thinking. Pandora's hope was not a salve for all the horror. It was thought to be the final affliction. Now, hope started to get a better rap in Christianity, but only in a very specific way. This is what one Catholic philosopher says: hope is either a theological virtue or it is no virtue at all. And the reason that he thought this is that hope could be directed to all kinds of things that were either good or bad. Unlike something like justice, which is always directed to the good, hope can be directed towards absolutely anything. For example, someone might hope that no one finds the body. But Christianity's influence began to wane during the Enlightenment, and people started to ask if hope might have value apart from theology. And Voltaire, the famous philosopher, he thought that it did. He thought that hope was necessary, and he wrote this: "If men were unfortunate enough to be concerned only with the present, they would not sow, they would not build, they would not plant or provide for anything, and in the midst of this false enjoyment, they would lack everything." In other words, we need some way of orienting ourselves towards the future, or nothing will ever be accomplished. But other philosophers were unconvinced. Arthur Schopenhauer put it this way: "Hope is confusing the wish for an event with its probability." Now, that might be a little bit abstract, but this is what I think he means. I might have hope that I win the lottery, but that does not mean it is at all probable that I will. Similarly, we might hope that some of our worst problems in this world will be overcome: racism, climate change, and the existence of a trillionaire. And while it is possible that those things could be corrected and come to an end, it doesn't mean that it's likely that they will. Another person who has something to say about this is the liberation theologian Miguel de la Torre. He wrote a book called Embracing Hopelessness. And as you might imagine, the thesis is a bit startling. It really kind of created waves in the theological community, and people are still, coping with its central claims. But he thought that hope was something closer to an opiate of the masses, something that we might call hopium. By thinking that things will be fixed in the future at some point, what it can do is make us better at ignoring the needs that are right here in the present and the things that need to be fixed. Still others describe the ways hope can lead to bad mental health outcomes. And this is about a specific kind of hope, I think. But it's the hope that expects that things are improving and they will continue to improve no matter what. Then, when that hopeful person encounters setbacks, and God knows have we experienced so many setbacks in the last couple of years, it can be exhausting, if not devastating. That roller coaster experience of having great expectations and then seeing them dashed is what psychologists are now coming to call hope fatigue. Now, here's what I find ironic. These same concerns, match some of the conversations that I've had with activists. And I'm not talking about people who, just casually show up at a rally. These are leaders who have made a difference in the lives of hundreds of people who are consistent and they persevere. But as one of these activists put it to me recently, hope to me is a 4-letter word. I just don't use it. And when I asked that person to tell me more, she talked about how the hope roller coaster is a distraction from the work that needs to be done. The work is right here in front of us. It doesn't matter whether we think it will change things or get better. You just have to do it because it's the right thing to do. On the cover of the Order of Service is a painting by G.F. Watts, and I apologize for it not looking as magnificent as the original. I encourage you to look at the original. But as you'll see here, it depicts a person who has a blindfold on, sitting alone on top of a globe. And they are plucking a lyre, but there's only one string left. All the others have snapped. Now, when this painting was first introduced, the reaction was, as you might imagine, mixed. Some people thought that the artist should have titled the painting Despair rather than Hope. But others thought that it represented something closer to the truth, something closer to what hope is, or at least what it could be. It is the idea that regardless of the circumstances, that figure on top of that globe, plucking that string, she perseveres. And not only perseveres, but finds a way to create something beautiful in the midst of something very hard and difficult. Now, I admit to you that I was repulsed by that painting when I first took a look. It felt so very bleak to me, and I didn't want to spend too much time looking at it. But then I decided to sit with it, and after looking at it and coming back to it a few times, I found myself captivated. It got me thinking about hope, and not only about hope, but also about ministry and preaching too. As I mentioned earlier, and as some of you know, I did my doctorate in ministry in preaching, and I've written a book, and I published articles on it, and I teach it at our seminary in Chicago. And I would say that the organizing principle of contemporary homiletics or preaching theory, it's hope. If we want the clearest example of what this looks like and how it's kind of held up in the conversation, I would say it's Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. It talks about fulfilling America's promise and joining hands across difference and walking to the promised land. And so here's where I'm going to commit a cardinal sin, and I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that you don't call the sermon police on me. I respect Martin Luther King's ministry and his theology. I'm inspired by what he did and was able to accomplish. But from this vantage point, after spending a year confronting state violence, I have been maced, I've been pepper sprayed, I've been shot with rubber bullets, and I've been beaten because of my participation at Broadview on behalf of immigrants. And I don't see things getting better. I see them in some ways possibly getting worse. As I look at what's happening to trans people and to their lives, and as I think about my sister who is now going to flee the country because she doesn't feel safe, as I talk to other people who are trans who are leaving states that they are from, and as little bits of dignity get stripped from them one after the other, I don't feel particularly hopeful right now. And so when I read Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech from that vantage point, I don't find that speech inspiring. I don't find it especially helpful for me either. The vision feels overwhelming and exhausting and improbable. Its hope is utopia. Hope is everything being fixed and everyone being happy. And you know, there was a time when I might have believed that, and I guess it probably would have been at the height of the Obama era when it just seemed like progress was possible, and not just possible, but inevitable. But I don't think we live in those times anymore, at least not for queer, trans, immigrant, and people of color. And the message that we're moving in the right direction, that arc of the universe is going to bend towards justice if we just keep pressing, it just rings false to me. So here's what inspires me right now. What's represented by that figure on that painting. The person who goes on plucking the middlemost chord. And I really do mean this. The people who inspire me today are the ones who are doing the small thing that is bringing beauty or joy or goodness to the world. It's a habit of learning how to do that and showing up to do that over and over again. It's not a feeling, it's not imagination, and it doesn't have anything to do with the arc of the moral universe bending in any particular direction. Instead, it is the discipline of showing up to make a difference, of being present to those that we love, of bringing beauty to the places that we can because it's the right thing to do. And if that doesn't feel fierce enough for the times that we're living in, then here's another option. It's from Rebecca Solnit, and I am going to apologize once again in advance because I'm going to break another cardinal rule of preaching, and I'm going to say a very bad word. So maybe cover your ears, like if you don't want to hear this. This is from Rebecca Solnit. She says, "If the word hope doesn't work for you, then try never fucking surrender." It's perseverance, baby. That's what's important. And it might be all we've got. I could end on that note because I do think that idea of never surrendering, that it's powerful. It's a powerful note to end on. But I realize that's not entirely it for me either, because there is another component to me that it doesn't have to do with human action. I have this deep, and I don't know how else to put it, this kind of deep mystical sense of things. I can't convince anybody that it corresponds to something that is real or true, and I wouldn't try to do that even if I could. But I just have this sense that there's an abiding reality that holds all of this, that's deeper and truer than any particular moment of history or any fluctuation of fortune. That reality, to me, isn't leading us to utopia. It's rather the sensation of being itself is so full, so mysterious, so radiant, that there really is no way that things cannot work themselves out. And I don't mean that in a political sense. I have no idea what will happen politically. I just leave open the space for possibility to emerge there. That's all I've got for that. But I do have this existential sense that there is a secret cohesion at the heart of things. One theologian offered this beautiful image, and I can't get it out of my head. She described it as the dark halo. The dark halo that encircles and irradiates all of this. Maybe this is why Virginia Woolf said, "The future is dark, which is, on the whole, the best thing that the future could be." It is dark not in a bleak sense or a despairing sense, but it is rather a radiant dark, a dark that is full of possibilities and out of human hands. And maybe that's a deeper reason not to hope, because we don't even know what that deeper mystery of our being wants from us. As T.S. Eliot put it, I said to my soul, "Be still and wait without hope, for hope would be hope for the wrong thing. Wait without love, for love would be love for the wrong thing. There is yet faith, but the faith and the hope, they're all in the waiting. And so wait without thought, for you are not ready for that thought." When you can do that, the darkness will be made light, and you'll find the stillness in the dancing. Whatever you name that middlemost chord that you pluck on that lyre, hope, perseverance, defiance, discipline, dark radiance, may you pluck it in a way that creates beauty in no other place but this one. I invite you to rise as you are able for hymn number 22. I'll leave us today with some words from the poet Nancy Wood. And I remember when I was growing up here, and actually I guess it was in my college years, we had Frank Carpenter, and he would end with the same benediction every Sunday. And I feel like that's a little piece of St. John's and my experience here that I've taken with me. I end my services with these same words from the poet Nancy Wood. My spiritual companions, hold on to what is good, even when that is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even when that is a tree that stands alone. Hold on to what you must do, even when that is a long, long way from here. Hold on to life and to goodness and to beauty, even when it's easier letting that go. And finally, hold on to each other's hands, even after we are parted one from the other. Amen. And go in peace.
This is from Melissa Rowland, grandson born last Sunday at 2:20 p.m. Something in... I'm having trouble reading. Baby and mama doing well. Richard Lee Rowland, the fourth, is the name of the baby. Okay.